Let's turn to the Israelis. Major General Yaakov Amidror, former National Security Advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, joining me. Appreciate you joining us there from Tel Aviv. This dramatic announcement, General, of a ceasefire by President Trump seems to have at least pressed the pause button on the missile strikes that were going on each other's country, but it seems to be very fragile. There have been reports right through the day of missile strikes from Tehran too, claiming that they were hit. Is this a very fragile peace, General, that will not hold?
I don't know. You know, Israel is a very organized state, and if a decision was taken by the prime minister, no one in Israel will violate it. And from the Israeli side, it will be very clear that we are having a ceasefire, keeping the ceasefire, and living with the ceasefire. I'm not sure that the Iranians have now, after the big damage that we did to the command and control structure in Iran, the same control that we have here in Israel. And it will be very interesting to see how it will work in Iran parallel to what happening here in Israel. There was one missile report in the morning to the north part of Israel. I don't know what was it. I don't have yet all the details, if it is an Iranian or something else. I don't know yet. I mean, the picture is not clear.
But General Amidror, given what's happened over the last 12 days, have the objectives of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu actually worked? We thought this operation was supposed to be, according to Israel and America, about dismantling Iran's ability to enrich uranium for nuclear weapons. We're still not clear exactly how badly those nuclear sites have been hit. There was talk then also of regime change. That has not happened. So in net, has this 12-day war achieved Israel's military and strategic objectives?
Regime change was not one of the goals of this operation, not at all. We had two goals from the beginning to the end: to dismantle the ability of the Iranians to produce nuclear weapon, and probably that was achieved.
May I interrupt? How do you know that? How do you know that the nuclear sites have been totally demolished? How do we know that, sir?
Let me explain.
Go ahead.
They had two facilities to enrich uranium, one in Natanz and one in Fordo. Both of them, one was totally destroyed, Natanz, and the second one cannot be functioned. Even if it is not completely destroyed, cannot be functioned. There is something called conversion, that you have to take the enriched uranium and to converge it to metal to make the weapon. The conversion facility was totally destroyed. Then weaponization group, based on the as far as we know, the hardcore of the weaponization group was killed by us during the beginning of the war and during the war. The last one was the last night. We killed another one from the group. So the ability of the group today, within a few years, they will learn again how to do. And the fact that we succeeded to destroy the second archive of the Iranians of the Iranian and nuclear project at the beginning of the war, all the three elements are not anymore exist in Iran. They cannot enrich uranium, they cannot converge uranium, and they cannot use the group that they built for the weaponization. They have 450 kilograms of enriched uranium to the level of 60%. They have to enrich it to 92 if they want it to be a military grade. I don't know, me personally, I don't know where is the 400 kilo. I hope that our intelligence knows. I don't know if the Iranians have the ability to reach it, or it was buried somewhere in Natanz or in Fordo. I don't know. But this is a weak point in the whole chain. But they don't have the ability to converge it anyhow, and they don't have the knowledge and the people with the knowledge to weaponize it. Can they build it in the future? Very much depends on the terms of the ceasefire. I don't know what are the terms of the ceasefire, if they can go back to rebuild it.
General, you know, the war started with Israel claiming that Iran posed an existential threat to Israel. Does that existential threat, according to you, still remain? Or have the last 2 weeks fundamentally changed that in your view?
It was changed, but it very much depends on what was agreed about the future, if Iran might come again to be a threat to the existence of Israel, if they will have the ability to re-enrich uranium and to build the nuclear project, we might face within few years the same threat, and we will have to go back to make the same operation again.
But General, you worked very closely with Benjamin Netanyahu. Critics of him say that Netanyahu is the one who's been pushing West Asia, America, and Israel into war. He's the one who's really driven this entire campaign. He's pulled the strings, he pulled America into it, and as a result, it is Netanyahu who's created a more unstable Middle East by his constant attempts to wage war against countries in the neighborhood. How do you respond?
I'll say that it is nonsense. The war was imposed on Israel by the attack of Hamas. A day later, Hezbollah entered to the war, attacking Israel. The Iranians launched the first two big operations against Israel. Around 500 projectiles had been launched by the Iranians before we attack Iran into Israel. So
but sir,
all these claims are nonsense and are not connected totally to the reality.
But no, sir, you're saying it is all nonsense to say that Netanyahu has driven this war, but isn't it true that regime change was his objective? He wants the Iranian regime to collapse. That's not happened. Several Israeli leaders, including your defense minister, have spoken about regime change.
Again, the regime change was not in the list of the targets of the goals of Israel. Israel is a democracy. Everyone can say whatever he wants. You need a cabinet decision to make to change the goals of the war. There was not any such a decision by the cabinet. Every minister can say if he has a private vision, it's okay. He cannot impose it on the state. It's a democracy. And regime change cannot be achieved by Israel because there is no any real big opposition or known opposition in Iran, and we cannot decide for the Iranian people who will control Iran.
But let me ask you, sir, I asked you about Gaza, sir. More than 50,000 people have died in Gaza. Do you believe that war also needs to end now?
It's a proportional, from my point of view, it's a proportional reaction, because it was initiated by Hamas, and we are fighting Hamas, and everything that we are doing to Hamas is not enough proportionally for what was done by Hamas in the 7th of October. So I'm not ready to answer any question. We begin with proportional reaction, because there is no proportional reaction to what Hamas did in the 7th of October, but annihilation totally of Hamas. This is the only proportional reaction to what Hamas did in the 7th of October, and we didn't reach this, and we didn't reach this point yet.
Let me ask you one final question then, General. Net, has the last 2 weeks established Israeli dominance in the Middle East, or has they left the entire region even more fragile than ever before?
Much, much less fragile. Without Hezbollah, without Hamas, without Islamic Jihad, when the Iranians are not controlling anymore, not Beirut and not Damascus, it's a much stable Middle East than it was before the war. It's not Israeli dominance, but Israel is making very clear to every opponent and terror organization what will be the result of operation like the one which had been done by Hamas in the 7th of October. And I hope that will be taken out of the vocabulary of all our neighbors, any attempt to do the same in the future. It's not a dominance, but it is a deterrence which is needed for Israel in the Middle East, and it's very important that people around us will learn that there are some red lines. If will be crossed by our enemies, our reaction will be very, very strong.
Okay, you claim Israel has drawn a line in the sand when it comes to Iran. I appreciate, though, you joining me, General Amador, on the show tonight to give us what you believe is Israel's benefits or gains from the war.